Fox 14.
You're watching the KOAO Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, the opening of the new Whataburger is causing quite the stir for traffic. We'll hear from a few residents on how they feel about higher traffic in their neighborhood.
Also, summer is almost here, and that means it's almost pool season. We'll have some tips on how you can keep your children safe this swim season.
And look at this. This is our camera 7th and range line. Some of us dealing with some dense fog out there this morning. We'll have a look at that forecast. Get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAO Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. And we've got some patchy dense fog out there for some of us. Boy, it is difficult to see. You do need to slow down, use your low beams, not your high beams. We'll take a look at all that here in just a moment. And if Whataburger is open 24 hours, according to their sign.
Yes.
So
if you're on your way,
if you're on your way,
some fog right
you're
now.
going to need to slow down, and you're going to have to just hold on to that appetite a little longer with that fog out there, because not just the fog. There's been some long lines at the drive-thru.
Long lines, and to avoid traffic on range line, the drive-thru line is currently being directed to the neighborhood behind the restaurant.
KOAO's Fernanda Silva spoke to residents to get their reaction.
Crazy. They were lined up from the restaurant all the way to the first section up here. Lots all day long.
Dina Hill lives behind the new Whataburger location. On the opening day of the restaurant, her street got busy.
I didn't mind it. I mean, no, I thought it was fine.
He shares her perspective with one of her neighbors, Brett Hoggy.
It doesn't bother me. I'm sure it bothers some of our other neighbors where their driveways are blocked, but our driveway isn't blocked so we can get it in and out, so it doesn't bother us.
Whataburger says they will address the concerns of locals.
During our higher traffic times, we'll make sure that they'll kind of split the cars apart so that they can get out of their driveways.
According to Whataburger, having drive-through traffic coming from a residential street is a temporary solution, and soon that will be moved to range line.
Whataburger always reaches out to the community before we open a restaurant, and we talked to the Joplin Police Department, and we had to make a decision as to what the best traffic pattern would be so that we could not hinder traffic.
Joplin Police Department says Whataburger hired off-duty officers to work an extra duty assignment at their location, and part of their duties is to oversee traffic congestion. According to the PD, their patrol and traffic divisions may assist if needed.
They just make sure that everyone knows which direction to go so that they're not confused, and also so they're not stopping out front and hindering the traffic that's on range line.
Meanwhile, neighbors get to watch the influx. Hill was so impressed with the traffic that she posted pictures on her social media.
My cousin replied on my comment and my picture, and he said, "That's a Texas thing." I said, well, now it's a Joplin, Missouri thing.
In Joplin, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Well, currently, Whataburger only offers the drive-thru option. Dining room and curbside services will follow in a couple of weeks.
And of course, a little later, the Webb City location will be opening. Hopefully that will ease some of that congestion as well. So a lot of folks turning out for that.
Great to see them excited. It really is.
I mean,
I know that Whataburger is a huge thing in the debate.
We've set some records for some restaurants that have opened around there. I remember when Raising Cane's opened, I think Joplin set the record for like most traffic in the opening day.
Oh, wow.
For grand opening day. So people getting really excited about things around here, which is good.
Yes.
It's good to be excited.
Absolutely.
But you're going to have to curb that enthusiasm just a bit this morning, because we've got some dense fog out there for some of us. Our camera on top of the Cornell complex now, not 15 minutes ago, did not look like that over downtown Joplin, but the fog continuing to thicken up out there. You could actually see pretty well into the horizon. Can't see that so much now. MoDOT camera 20th and range line also showing that dense fog out there, so you've got to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Here's what it looks like on the fog tracker. Fort Scott still checking at the worst. Zero visibility out there. So Fort Scott, Nevada, Carthage, Joplin, Pittsburgh, Miami, Anderson, Mount Vernon, Cassville, down to Bentonville and Grove. 69, I-49, I-44, 54, 160, 126, US 60. You're kind of getting the idea here. Some of the main thoroughfares for commuting around the area, you're going to have to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. We have some of these showers and storms out to our west surviving just a wee bit into Elk, Greenwood, and Chautauqua counties, and they may persist as far east as, say, Iola, Parsons, Oswego before they begin to fizzle out there. Nothing expected from them other than some rain, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder. And as you head out the door this morning as well, it's a bit chilly, hence it's pretty cool out there. Mid-upper 50s, starting to see some more 60s. 60 in Chanute, 61 in Stockton. And that is ahead of highs today, going into the upper 70s and low 80s out there. Partly cloudy skies. I'm going to say that those shower and thunderstorm chances, especially out west, could maybe last as late as maybe 9 o'clock this morning. And then again, partly cloudy, warm. We unfortunately do have more severe weather on the way as we head late into the evening and overnight hours. We're going to break down all the details on that in the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, no one is seriously hurt following the crash of a high school team bus last night in southwest Missouri. The school bus was carrying the Mount Vernon, Missouri baseball team when it crashed around 8:30 last night in Newton County. The Highway Patrol tells us the driver experienced a medical emergency on Missouri Highway 43 south of Petro. Investigators say the bus was traveling at highway speed, went off the road and hit a culvert. One student was taken to a Joplin hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The bus driver was taken to a hospital by private vehicle. Newton County Ambulance and Sheriff's Department and the Reddings Mill Fire Department all responded. U.S. National Weather Service confirms a tornado touchdown outside of Branson. You're looking at video of that tornado that touched down briefly Monday at Paynes Valley Golf Course southeast of Hollister, Missouri. The National Weather Service says this was an EF0 tornado with peak winds of up to 70 miles per hour. A storm survey found some broken branches and a few snapped trees, but no reports of damage to homes or power lines. There were also no reported injuries. It's National Police Week, so the Jasper County Sheriff's Office took time to honor fallen law enforcement officers. The ceremony at the county courthouse in Carthage recognized the brave men and women who were killed in the line of duty while serving Jasper County. Local officials, law enforcement members, and community leaders all paid their respects. The Joplin Regional Community Foundation yesterday donated $130,000 to 3 area nonprofits. The money comes through the foundation's Philanthropic Society. The Joplin Police Department, Creative Learning Alliance, and Water Gardens each get at least $30,000. The JRCF says grants like this are all part of its mission.
It's a good start. It's a very good start. I'm wanting to get several of these embedded police social workers up and running. That's going to be a process. The city council is behind me on this initiative. The city manager is excited about this initiative, but it's going to be a process. Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's all I have to do right now. So it's my pleasure to introduce Austin Criswell.
Since the first grant in 2019, the Philanthropic Society has awarded more than $1.1 million to nonprofits serving Joplin, Webb City, and Carl Junction. With a little more than a month away until the official first day of summer, health and safety experts recommend using that time to address serious safety concerns, like avoiding death and injuries around pools and other bodies of water. This as a new report finds drowning deaths are up. Fox News' Sean Langell takes a closer look at the data and how a unique program is helping save lives.
With the weather warming up, it's not going to be long until pools, ponds, and oceans are filled with swimmers looking to take a cool dip. But a new report from the CDC reveals drowning deaths are on the rise. From 2020 to 2022, more than 4,500 people drowned each year. That's 500 more per year compared to 2019. Groups who already face elevated risks experience the sharpest increases in drowning deaths. Those include kids ages 1 through 4, people of all races who are 65 and older, and black people of all ages. Before summer hits, reports said swimming lessons can save lives, especially when about 40 million adults do not know how to swim. Meanwhile, researchers at The Ohio State University are using a unique approach to prevent drowning among kids on the autism spectrum.
Drowning is the #1 cause of unintentional death for children on the autism spectrum, up through age 14.
Participants in the program are paired with a personalized swim buddy. The class is then led by an aquatic occupational therapist who covers swimming safety.
Our sessions are between 45 and 50 minutes long for 10 weeks. Everyone makes significant gains in either tolerating the water on their face, learning to hold their breath and go under, being able to tolerate different floating positions.
While not all of the kids learn to swim in the 10 weeks, researchers say the progress they do make helps give families peace of mind.
Decrease stress in taking their children out to community programs, community pools, vacations.
Sean Lanchel, Fox News.
Researchers from The Ohio State University are now looking to expand on their findings and spread the word about the benefits of occupational therapy approaches to swim lessons for kids on the autism spectrum. Those are our top stories this half hour. Coming up next, Emily Frankowski joins us to share several events sponsored by Connect to Culture. And later, a 6th grader sends students home on a musical note. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
And Miss Daisy to Richard Joseph Boulevard.
Welcome back. Emily Frankowski from Connect to Culture is with us this morning, and she wants to invite you to a musical experience starting today. Yes. Welcome, Emily. Thank you so much for being with us. So talk to me about this concert truck. We've seen a little bit of it already on our morning news and the evening news as well last night. Talk to me a little bit about that.
It's just such a fun opportunity, you know. Usually Connect to Culture is having our performances inside our beautiful home at the Cornell complex. But there wasn't like much time before that when we were actually kind of nomadic, and we would go from venue to venue, you know, presenting our performances.
Right, yes.
And so we're kind of hearkening back to the olden days, and we decided to take the music on the road. And the concert truck is so near and dear to Connect to Culture's heart because we kind of share similar missions. The concert truck really is, you know, 2 classically trained professional artists that travel around the country, making music more accessible, you know, bringing it to people. Several times, you know, people can't make it to our venue to come to a performance, whether it be, you know, they just don't have disposable income, they don't have transportation, they don't have childcare, all sorts of barriers.
Absolutely,
but taking it out into the community as a free performance, you know, to maybe locations you wouldn't really think of having music is kind of the idea. And so they just arrived in town yesterday, pulled up to the Cornell complex. Our staff learned how to kind of set up the truck because it's kind of a transformer. It's really like a 16-foot box truck that they've transformed into a mobile concert hall. So Susan and Gabrielle are both the visiting artists, and they will play piano 4 hands, which is just both of them playing piano at the same time. And then also piano and violin duos. So be sure to go to connecttoculture.org, figure out where we're going to be, because we have them for 5 days, 7 free performances, and 2 of them are today.
And 2 of them are today. And where the location for these events today?
Today we're visiting Freeman Health System, which is one of our great sponsors of all of our performances, and then Thomas Jefferson Independent Day School. Then after that we travel on. We're going to Third Thursday.
Oh, exciting!
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Mercy Park, also the library, and oh man, I'm gonna miss one of them because there's 7 different free performances. There's so many. So, you know, carve out some time. Hopefully you're just, you know, you're going somewhere and you'll just
run into them. Hear some music.
I'm going to sit down and enjoy for a little bit, you know?
Absolutely. So 7 performances, truly incredible. And we saw a little bit of it earlier. I mean, they are so talented. And is this something that you're hoping to bring back throughout the rest of the summer, or is this just a one-time thing for the summer exclusively?
Yeah, it's just a one-time thing. We had some wonderful individuals and businesses that made this happen. So we're so thankful to them. But this is a one-time shot only. So one of these 7 performances, maybe sometime we'll bring them back. But yesterday also we just announced all of our summer programming, which is exciting. So we have a big patriotic show on June 29th, and then every Saturday in July we're bringing back our Jomo Jam and Music Festival, where we're going to have, you know, indie rock, country, Ozark folk, world music, and so much more. So we've got a lot to look forward to. However, the concert truck is fleeting, so from now to Sunday, catch us out
Get
there.
it while
with the
you
music.
can. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us this morning. In the Concert Truck series, as we mentioned, starts today at 10 a.m. at Freeman Health Systems. For a full look at the schedule, you can visit their website at connecttoculture.org or our website at komnewsnow.com. When we come back, we'll have another look at the forecast.
Today, the finishing touch, downtown Pittsburgh.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is 7:19, almost 7:20 on this Wednesday morning. Take a look at this shot from our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. Look at how thick that fog has become in the downtown area. MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline, looking back to the north. That fog's still very thick there as well. And it's not as dense, but still fairly dense fog down in Neosho. This is MoDOT camera, US 60, Missouri 59, looking back to the east. And here's a look at the fog tracker. Fort Scott almost all morning long has been at zero visibility, which is just incredible. That's how dense that fog is. But look at how it kind of thins out a bit there. Just did a live update, and you can see how it kind of thins out there in Nevada. So Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage, Miami, Anderson, Bentonville, all still dealing with this dense fog out there. So remember, slow down and use your low beams, not your high beams. There's that little line of showers and storms. The initial batch already long gone. In the initial batch this morning around 4:30, we could see the lightning from our camera at 7th and Rangeline 112 miles away. But then that died. This slowly dying. And again, I think there's that possibility. Let me slide this a little further now to the east. I think there's the possibility Iola Chanute, maybe as far east as Parsons. It could still shower, might get a rumble of thunder, but I think for the most part, this activity is going to continue to fizzle out. We'll have to see what this activity back here does, but it won't be until later this evening and overnight that we have that greater chance for strong to severe thunderstorms. So we do have a low to elevated tornado threat across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. We have a low to elevated hail risk across a broader area, but still mainly into Kansas and Oklahoma. The bigger concern from these storms tonight at this point seems to be wind. We have a low, elevated, and enhanced risk for wind covering a much broader area out there with these hash marks into parts of Elk, Chautauqua, and Montgomery counties, indicating the possibility of significant damaging winds. So we're talking 70, 80 miles an hour or greater. Then as we head into our Thursday, we have a low-end risk for strong to low-grade severe thunderstorms at this point, but keep in mind that's how today started out when we were looking at the forecast data from yesterday. But right now, hail and damaging winds seem to be the primary concern with stronger storms tomorrow. No severe areas highlighted on Friday, but still some scattered storms. So again, the last of those showers should fizzle out here in the next couple of hours. And then as we head into the evening, we're going to be warm today, upper 70s, low 80s. Clouds increase, and by about 8, 9 o'clock, here comes that thunderstorm complex. And that's when we're going to have that opportunity for strong to severe thunderstorms. So I'm going to say between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when we're going to have that better chance for strong, potentially severe thunderstorms. Then we could see some additional strong to low grade severe thunderstorms throughout the day Thursday. They'll be scattered, so it won't be rain everywhere all at once, but we'll have that opportunity for some stronger storms on our Thursday as well. Upper 70s tomorrow, scattered storms again on Friday. Our weekend still looks great. Sunny skies, upper 70s, low 80s. We warm up next week, mid 80s, and we have thunderstorm chances nearly every day next week as well. That's a check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Affordable care.
A sixth grader in central Michigan makes sure to send students home for the weekend with music.
Fox News' Colin Jankowski shares how what started as some practice time turned into teaching other students.
As a fifth grader at Raleigh,
we started out in this room.
Adam Zook often found himself in the music room, practicing on the piano, to himself at first, but before long,
people started coming in and it got like a little bit tricky.
After drawing crowds of his fellow students,
not only was I impressed, but all the kids leaving the school were also impressed.
Adam and his music teacher decided to move the piano out into the hallway so the entire school can enjoy the music as they head home for the day. Now, as a sixth grader at Hazlitt Middle School, Adam makes the short walk over to his former elementary school and continues to send students off into the weekend with a song.
I like to do stuff that helps me and everybody else, and it's also just very fun to do, and it's a nice way to use up my time. It's not something I'm going to regret.
Adam's former music teacher, Mrs. Voris, says seeing Adam making connections through music and continuing to stick with it is special.
Being his music teacher, although I'm not his piano teacher, so I don't teach him the skills of piano, it's really great to see that connection, that it could be your profession and it could be how you make a living, but it could also just bring you joy for the rest of your life.
Adam says he plans to continue this weekly tradition until he graduates from high school. And after that,
in the future, it just looks like more playing and more fun.
That's absolutely impressive. I tried to teach myself the piano, and I've got one melody, and that's it. I don't even know where I learned that one.
I had piano lessons, and I don't even know anything. So just seeing that is pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
Well, coming up, history came to life in Carthage yesterday. We'll see what lessons historical figures were teaching to visiting students.
And take a look at that dense fog out there. We've got the fog, and then we've got thunderstorm chances later tonight. We'll look at all that when the KOAM Morning News returns.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. I'm Elise Snowy. A state audit of Joplin's financial records continues despite high marks on a separate audit. The award is for a separate annual audit by an independent auditor that's required by city charter. For 33 years, the Government Finance Officers Association awarded the city of Joplin with a certificate of excellence in financial reporting. The city says the goal of the independent audit is to provide reassurance and transparency to citizens. The award is for the 2022 budget year.
And so we've submitted that one, and we anticipate that we will receive that award again for the 34th year in a row.
Again, the audit demanded by the petition is still underway. The state auditor's office had told us previously that audit was to begin in February. We reached out to the office yesterday to get an update. We have not yet received a response. Everyone who was reported missing after a tornado that swept through Barnsdall, Oklahoma on May 6th has now been accounted for. A body recovered this weekend from Bird Creek, several miles south of Barnsdall, has been identified as that of 81-year-old Wayne Hogue. Hogue was reported missing from his home after the EF4 tornado struck his house and others in Barnsdall. The Osage County Sheriff's Office extended its thanks to everyone who assisted in the search efforts. Voters in Bourbon County, Kansas yesterday passed a law to help establish and operate a new emergency department in the county. It comes after Ascension Via Christi closed its ER in Fort Scott late last year. It implements a new quarter-cent retail sales tax to fund the proposal. That tax will take effect on October 1st and will remain in effect for 5 years. Pitt State is almost set to begin construction on its new soccer pitch. The all-turf pitch will be built on the field between the Weed Gymnasium and the University Lake by the Gorilla Walk Path. It will be built in phases, starting with the turf and equipment. Then future additions will include a press box, lighting, fencing, and seating. Officials expect it to be ready in time for the start of the women's team first regular season game this fall. They will host 9 home games in the first season. The city of Carthage brought history to life yesterday with a Great Americans Day. The roughly 6-hour event provided a field trip for hundreds of kids to learn about various historical figures brought to life by volunteers from the Carthage community. Figures such as Harriet Beecher Stowe.
And her education was key. And I want the children to see that too, that they are so blessed to have an education and to be able to get it, because back during Harriet's time, that was just unheard of. It was considered a waste of money to educate a female.
Due to weather concerns, the event was moved from the Central Park over to the Fairview Christian Church. Now here's Chris with another look at the forecast.
We've got dense fog across the area. A quick look from MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. It's looking a little better, but that fog's still pretty thick out there. Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Carthage, not into Nevada completely, but still foggy up there. Joplin still reduced visibility. So again, slow down, use your low beams, not your high beams. Give yourself time to get where you're going. We have these scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder in parts of Kansas, and I think it could potentially make it as far east as, say, Parsons, Oswego, and then it's going to really start to fizzle out. We have some thunderstorms developing back across central Oklahoma, and those may make it into our western counties as well, but we'll have better chances for storms as we head late tonight and into the overnight hours, and some of those could be strong to severe. Temperatures as you head out the door this morning, mid-upper 50s across the area, so a bit of a cool start, but it will warm up. In fact, we will be warmer today than we were yesterday. Some of those stray shower storms may be continuing through 9, 10 o'clock at the latest, and then will otherwise be partly cloudy. Temperatures upper 70s, low 80s, and an east breeze at around 5 to 10 miles an hour. As I mentioned, though, we do have a severe threat as we head into this evening and into the overnight hours, and we're going to take a look at that in detail with the full forecast here in a couple more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOA Morning News. Help for a Minnesota farmer who thought she lost everything in a fire. How other farmers rallied to help one of their own. And Consumer Watch this morning. Some tax credit fraud perpetrators, offering high refund amounts may bring some taxpayers down to a new low. The IRS says thousands of taxpayers could face prosecution for believing some tax scammers offering secret tricks for refunds. The agency is warning Americans to not fall for tax scams centered on the fuel tax, the sick and family leave, or household employment tax credits. Some taxpayers are falsely claiming employment status to get the sick and family credit, and some claim fictional household employees for credits. Federal student loan rates are reaching its highest in a decade. The Department of Education reports loan rates for undergrads next school year will rise more than 1% to 6.53%. It's the highest interest rate in 12 years. Graduate students will also see a 1% increase to federal loan rates at 8.8%. The Biden administration has yet to announce any plans to potentially reduce or freeze the current interest rate percentage. Some TikTok users are suing the U.S. government to prevent a possible ban of the app. The lawsuit alleges the law violates the First Amendment right of free speech. The creators in the lawsuit say the app gives them a way to express themselves as well as create a community and make a living. TikTok says it will cover the legal cost for the creators' case. President Biden slapped new tariffs on some Chinese imports yesterday as he aims to prove he's tougher on China than his predecessor. Some critics are questioning the timing of the president's action. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has the details.
President Biden taking aim at China and significantly increasing tariffs on some Chinese exports. A move the president says is aimed at protecting American workers.
It's not competition, it's cheating. And we've seen damage here in America.
The tariffs, which build on Trump-era policies, include 25 to 50% increases on steel and aluminum, batteries, semiconductors, and some medical equipment. But the largest is a 100% increase on Chinese electric vehicles, as the Biden administration continues to push American car manufacturers towards EVs.
We're never going to allow China to unfairly control the market for these cars, period.
But his political rival Donald Trump says the tariffs are too little, too late.
Where have you been for 3.5 years? They should have done it a long time ago. But they've also got to do it on other vehicles, and they have to do it on a lot of other products. Because China's eating our lunch right now.
He said China is eating our lunch. That's what Trump said today. We've been feeding it a long time.
In an interview with Yahoo Finance, Biden says he expects China will retaliate, possibly by raising tariffs on unrelated products. But the White House is downplaying any concerns.
There's no need for a trade war. That is not this is not what this is about. This is about protecting, again, American workers. This is about protecting American businesses.
The tariffs are also likely to throw a wrench in the new and fragile cooperation officials in Washington and Beijing have been building over recent months. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Spend your Thursdays at everybody's favorite.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:43, almost 7:44 on this Wednesday morning. Live look from MoDOT camera 20th and Rangeline. Foggy conditions slightly improving in the Joplin area. However, they've worsened down in Neosho. MoDOT camera at 60 and 59 looking back to the east. You could see the traffic signal on the roadway back that way. You cannot now, so we're continuing to deal with some patchy, dense fog out there. However, improving conditions. We had this dense fog over a much broader area earlier this morning. Fort Scott, though, consistently through the morning, zero visibility. Improving in Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage still below a mile, Neosho below a mile as well. So if you are traveling this morning, again, slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Use your high beams, not your low, use your low beams, not your high beams. We got this cluster of thunderstorms out in parts of north central Oklahoma that could clip some of our western counties a little later today. And then we've got this dying batch of showers, a couple of rumbles of thunder. So again, Parsons, Chanute, Iola may make it about that far east before it begins to fizzle out. We'll otherwise have mostly cloudy skies as we go through the morning hours, and then we'll begin to clear out. Unfortunately, our bigger concerns come later this evening into the overnight hours, where we do have a risk for severe weather out there. So we've got a low to elevated tornado threat across parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. We have a low to elevated hail threat across a broader portion of Kansas and Oklahoma. And the biggest concern from these storms appears to be at this point wind. We have a low, elevated, and enhanced risk for wind covering the majority of the area, and these hash marks into Elk, Chautauqua, Montgomery counties, indicating the possibility of winds 70, maybe 80 miles an hour or greater with some of these thunderstorms. Then we have a severe threat tomorrow. Now, thankfully, at this point, it's a low risk, but keep in mind, we are in severe weather season, and today's risk was low at this point yesterday morning as well. So things can change, but at least right now we have a low end risk for some strong to low grade severe thunderstorms across virtually the entire area. And the primary concerns tomorrow look to be wind and hail. And then as we head into Friday, no severe areas highlighted, but we're still going to be dealing with scattered thunderstorms out there. As for the rest of today, again, that activity out to the west should die out, and we're going to again be partly cloudy, warmer today as well. Temperatures into the upper 70s and low 80s, maybe a stray shower here or there, but most of us will be dry. Clouds start increasing by this evening, and then by about 8 o'clock, here comes this thunderstorm complex rolling into southeast Kansas and Oklahoma, and this is where our opportunity for strong to severe thunderstorms will be. So in terms of our viewing area, the better chances for strong to severe storms look to be between about 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., and then that complex will roll through. Here we are at midnight dealing with those thunderstorms out there. Well, I'll see them transition to some showers and light thunderstorms. And as we head towards sunrise again on Thursday, some additional thunderstorms. Some of those could be strong, low-grade, severe fire up. And as we go through the day, we're looking at scattered thunderstorms. So it won't be rain all day everywhere, but scattered thunderstorms across the entire area. And the storms that we see could be strong to low-grade severe. All right, right now, as you can see, foggy from our camera 7th and Rangeline, 58 in Joplin. The wind is calm. Visibility is under a mile. Temperatures around the region holding most of us into the upper 50s, but we got 60 in Pittsburgh, 61 in Chanute, 60s, Chautauqua, and Miami. Again, some isolated to widely scattered storms from that complex out west through maybe 9, possibly 10 o'clock at the latest for our western counties. And otherwise, we're partly cloudy, 70 by 11. As mentioned, we are warmer today. Temperatures upper 70s, low 80s with those partly cloudy skies. Thunderstorm chances again tonight, tomorrow, Friday. Weekend looks fantastic. Upper 70s, low 80s, mid 80s next week, but thunderstorm chances virtually every day next week as well. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more right after this.
I'm here to tell you. There's one thing.
Call this morning at 10, right here on Fox 14.
A fire destroyed thousands of plants, putting one urban farmer on the verge of losing it all. Without a greenhouse, Alyssa Isle grew plants through the winter in her northeast Minneapolis basement.
Just when she thought she was done for, some fellow farmers sprung into action.
In the shadow of this giant rabbit in northeast Minneapolis.
This is Max Rabbitat.
You'll find Alyssa Isle tending to the California street farm. The organic produce here goes to local families, restaurants, and farmers markets to nourish her community.
I love food so much. So for me, food is this great connector.
But earlier this month, it was Alyssa who needed help when a fire at her duplex wiped out months of work and almost leveled the operation.
It was completely overwhelming, I would say, in that moment.
But then her friend asked other farmers to step up. She made a list of what Alyssa needed to keep going, and the produce poured in.
From Hager City, Wisconsin to Litchfield. So we've got shishito peppers, sweet peppers,
and
kale.
All of this was donated?
All of this was donated by farmers across the state.
Some are friends like Chris Barth, who donated plants and greenhouse space.
It's been kind of a groundswell from all the farmers who have kind of been there, done that. It's a testament to the community that she has also fostered around the farm that she has.
Some of them she's never met.
But what do you want to say to them?
Oh my God, I want to say thank you so much. There's no way that this farm would be able to continue to run without that support.
But now she's heading into the season stronger than ever.
I think it's going to work. We're going to make it happen. Feeling like you have a community of farmers holding you up and supporting you is just the best feeling in the world.
Certainly incredible that they came out to support her and get her back on her feet after that devastating fire.
As we can see, it definitely meant a lot to her, so it's great to see.
Really, absolutely. And we've got ourselves a few stray showers, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder out there. Skywatch Storm Tracker showing us where those are across parts of southeastern Kansas. They may survive just a wee bit further to the west, but they're going to begin to fizzle out. And that's kind of the expectation. Even though we're seeing some additional development across north central Oklahoma, this activity kind of going to run into that same brick wall and begin to fizzle out as it enters our western counties. However, take a look at our camera, 7th and Range Line in Joplin. Look at all of that fog. It's beginning to improve across the area, but we still have zero visibility in Fort Scott. It has been that way all morning long across most of Bourbon County. So Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage, Neosho, Anderson, want to slow down, use your low beams, not your high beams. Give yourself time to get where you're going. We'll see these clouds begin to clear out. The fog will burn off. We'll go into the partly cloudy situation heading into the afternoon. Temperatures warmer, upper 70s, low 80s out there across the area. We do have those thunderstorms tonight. We'll take a look at that, plus the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A school bus carrying the Mount Vernon, Missouri baseball team was involved in an accident around 8:30 last night in Newton County. The driver experienced a medical emergency on Missouri Highway 43 south of Petro. The bus was traveling at highway speed, went off the road, and hit a culvert. One student was taken to a Joplin hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the bus driver was taken to a hospital by private vehicle. Voters in Bourbon County, Kansas passed a plan to help establish and operate a new emergency department in the county yesterday. It implements a new quarter-cent retail sales tax to fund the proposal. That tax will take effect on October 1st and remain in effect for 5 years. Pitt State is ready to begin construction on its new soccer pitch. The pitch will be built on the field between the Weed Gymnasium and the University Lake by the Gorilla Walk Path. It will be built in phases, starting with the turf and equipment. Officials expect it to be ready in time for the start of the women's team's first regular season game this fall.
We've got some scattered showers across parts of southeast Kansas. These will begin to fizzle out, and we could get a few more thunderstorms in our far western counties this morning before those die out as well. We also have that risk for strong, potentially severe thunderstorms across the area this evening. tornado threat in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma. Same with that hail threat, and then that wind risk across a broader portion of the area with these storms. We're looking at the best opportunity for severe weather between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. And we'll have those storms with us. Upper 70s, low 80s today, though. Warm again tomorrow. Our weekend looks great. Sunny in the 70s and 80s. More 80s next week. More storm chances next week as well.
That weekend sure does look great.
It does.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, adorable footage shows an adult Canada goose leading what appears to be an endless stream of little goslings at a wildlife refuge in Michigan. Footage shows the full-grown goose paddling along with dozens of fluffy babies following at the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge in Trenton, southwest of Detroit.
According to the Fish and Wildlife Service, Canada geese are great adoptive parents, leading them to adopt orphaned or lost goslings. That's great of them.
Yes,
that's fantastic. You know, I've seen like cats and dogs adopt ducks and birds and rabbits and other sorts of things too. It's very interesting how that parenting instinct extends across all realms.
Absolutely. A way of life.
Well, we are way out of time, so we will see you back here at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.